Hey guys, it's Nichole Eaton with the Rock Your Soul book and podcast, where we talk about how to hack your mindset, grow your intuition, and live your best life. You can support this podcast by subscribing, leaving a positive review, and screenshot and sharing on social media. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Soul podcast. I'm your host, Nichole Eaton, soul therapist and author of the book, Rock Your Soul, The Down-to-Earth Guide to Mastering Your Mind. I declared last week that we have entered full-ass February. And if you didn't listen to that episode, make sure you do, because we are going all in this month. We are done half-assing things. We are ready to move forward with our lives. And so I thought today would be a perfect day to talk about what's blocking you and self-sabotage. So if you're somebody who sets all these goals and then 4 or 5 days in simply doesn't follow through or slides off the wagon, and you're finding yourself starting over and over and over again, this podcast is for you. Because I want you to succeed, and I want you to thrive in your life. And sometimes our blocks in our self-sabotage is such an old pattern of behavior that we just haven't created awareness around. So I'm going to give you all the information you need to know about what's keeping you stuck so that you can move forward into full-ass February, so you can go all in on your life, complete your goals, and be a better version of yourself. So first things first, I was thinking today of just like, where is your focus right now? What things in your life, what is consuming most of your time, your mental energy, your physical energy? And I would love for you today, even if you do nothing else today for betterment and self-improvement and personal growth, I would love for you to just sit down and explore, where's my time going? What is absorbing my time? Where is my head most of the time? Where is my physical energy most of the time? I noticed for me, probably about 6 months ago, that I was spending just way too much time on my phone. And I think with the pandemic, I think part of the issue was that we're getting into a place where we're dying for connection, just in a place where we need people. And so a lot of us are spending more time on our phones with texting, with social media, because it is a fake source of connection. It feels like we're kind of connecting here. And our soul needs connection. Our soul needs to feel seen. It needs to feel heard. And we need to have that base connection with other people in our life. So one of the things that I realized is I was spending so much time on there that I really was missing that in-person connection, because we had been home and we had been together 24/7, and it just was starting to feel like a lot. And so sometimes our forms of self-sabotage, which again, we'll get to in a minute, is escapism. So escaping into something else, escaping into a show, escaping into work, escaping into social media, or escaping into random stuff on your phone. So it's just important for you to check yourself. Where is your time and energy going? Because I always hear, when I talk to clients, I'm always hearing, I don't have enough time. But my challenge to you is, where is your time going? Is it really going into constructive, helpful, productive places? Are there time wasters? Are there time suckers? Are there things that you're thinking about that aren't getting you anywhere? This is a really good time to just track your day. Where's your focus? Where's your energy? Because as we know in that old quote, is where your focus goes, energy flows. Your energy will follow. And when I say energy follows, some people don't understand that. So I'm going to break that down a little bit. When you have a focus on something, you build an emotional energy around it. And thoughts attract similar thoughts. So if I have a thought when I wake up in the morning of, okay, so Super Bowl was last night. We had some friends over to watch it, and my daughter wanted to stay up. I don't usually let my kids stay up late, but it just felt like, fine, that's fine. You can stay up. So my daughter wakes up this morning and she is so tired. So we know now that was not a good plan, but she's so tired. And so she just, the whole morning, she's like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm like, yeah, and you're awesome. And she's like, oh, I'm so tired. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you're going to have a good day though. Even though you're tired, you're going to have a good day. And I just kept trying to offer her different mental suggestions, because two things happen when we have our focus, when we have the thoughts around whatever we're doing, is more thoughts like that come, more intentional, emotional energy of that variety comes. So the more she talked about being tired, the more she noticed those physiological symptoms. Because again, our brain looks for things to be right about. And the more tired she became, because our physiological body has to respond to what we tell it. And it will listen no matter what it is, which is why we can lie to ourselves about things, is because our brain doesn't know what is real and what is perceived. So if we're focused on something and we're exhausted, or I always like to use this. I noticed this, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, I noticed like when I would get sick, I would get so freaking sick. And it would go downhill so fast. Like if I started off with a runny nose in the morning, by that night, I was in a mess. Now, some people might say, well, that's the natural progression of a virus. But what I'll tell you is I realized that what I do is like, oh my God, I feel sick. Oh my God. Now it's in my chest. Oh, and like the hyper awareness and the mental focus and energy brought more like things, brought more like awareness. My body was like, okay, we're sick. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll be sick. We'll be sicker. So when I'm telling you that your brain literally controls everything, your thoughts control everything, and your focus really controls everything, then you know the first thing you have to get control over is, what do you want to be focusing on? What would be a better use of your time? What would make you feel better in your relationships? What would make you feel better in your life and with your productivity or your organization or your motivation? Like what feels better to you? And we have to begin to shift our focus. And now, what I'll say is we can get automated with our focus. So it might be something that you've thought about for absolute years. It might be something that has been on your mind for the last decade. It's going to be a little harder to shift that. And what I'll say to you is it's not impossible. I'm not saying that. You can absolutely change that energy. But when your brain is used to going a certain direction, it will tend to go a certain direction. That's why anxiety can feel so challenging to move, because once we start feeling anxious, our brain naturally says, oh, well, there's got to be something here to be upset about. There's got to be something to worry about. There's got to be some drama I can get involved in. There's got to be something to activate that same feeling within me that I'm used to. Because when we create a baseline within ourselves, so this is a baseline feeling, the feeling that you will most often feel, it actually becomes our personality. And I talk about this book a lot. I think I mentioned it last week, but Becoming Supernatural is a great resource for just understanding how focusing on the same thought, putting us in the same mood at some point becomes our just energetic person, our personality. So I know a lot of people I've talked to just this past week even have said, gosh, I just feel like this is who I am now. I'm just like kind of a pessimistic person. And I'll say to you, that's possible, but it's also 100% possible to undo if you start to say, who do I want to be? What do I want my days to look like? What do I want my focus to look like? Well, I want to be more upbeat. I want to be more optimistic. I'm ready to choose joy. I'm ready to choose my day and being productive in my day and feeling good about what I'm producing in my day. I'm ready to stop wasting time and be intentional about where my time goes. I'm ready to commit to myself. I'm ready to commit to my business. I'm ready to commit to whatever that is, my growth, my happiness, my relationship, my whatever. So your job is to really assess for yourself, where's my focus going? What's my baseline energy emotion? What is my baseline emotion? Neutral is fine. Neutral is actually where we most commonly set. So if you're feeling like, well, I'm not really feeling good or bad, I just kind of am, I'm just kind of existing, that's awesome, because you can build up from there. And even if your baseline is like, oh, I just wake up in such a crappy mood, one, as you know, I will recommend you clear the energy in you, do some meditations, do some saging, an Epsom salt bath, clear the energy in your space. But then you have to look at, okay, where am I intentionally building that energy within myself? What am I focusing on? How does that making me feel? And how is it blocking me from being successful? Because if I'm just like walking around saying I'm sick and tired all the time, my brain has no chance but to respond to what I'm telling it. So if I can even get to a place where I'm like, man, I feel a little better every day. I feel a little more alive. I feel a little more awake. I feel more energized. I feel more focused. I'm focusing on the right things now. Do you see how all of those statements feel differently when you say them in your body? Your body's responding. So when we're saying bad things, our body's saying, okay, I'll find a way to, if you want to feel bad, I'll find a way to help you feel bad. Like your brain is like I compared it, I think on one of my posts, to a Google search bar. It's like if you type in what you're searching for, your brain will find it. If you're like, oh, relationships always fail for me, oh, it'll find a reason and examples and evidence of that in your present day, in your past, within yourself. So your job is to redecide these things for yourself. We're in full ass February. This is your time to decide for yourself to change your life. This is time for you to call yourself out on your bullshit. This is taking responsibility in the best way possible and saying, I'm owning it. I'm recognizing it. I know it's happening and I'm not a victim to it. I'm done being a victim to it. I'm ready to move forward with my life. I'm ready to be a better version of myself. I'm ready to live happier because, and I think too, one of the things I always ask myself is sometimes when we're giving up a comfort habit, and that's an odd choice of words, but it's a comfort habit sometimes to feel bad. And I know that makes no sense logically, but if you think about it, it is comfortable to feel miserable because pushing yourself outside of misery is new and different, and our brain gets more uncomfortable in the unknown and creates doubts of, well, you're never actually going to feel better, and you're never actually going to like have this or do this, and it does this self-sabotaging, which we're going to talk about in a second. So there is a risk to losing that comfort, but there's also a risk to not trying to do anything different. And I love the question, and this is one thing I ask a lot of my clients. Okay, so if everything were to stay exactly the same for the next 10 years, would you be cool with that? If nothing changed, if everything were exactly the same, would you say, I'm really proud of myself. I feel like I'm living my best life. I feel like I've squeezed every drop out of this life. Like, are you content and happy with where you're at? And if the answer is no, I could be better. I'm ready to be better. I choose to be better. Using declaration words, choose, I declare, I decree, I'm ready for, I'm ready to receive. All of those statements are powerful. It's so different than, well, I don't know how. I actually had a really good conversation with a friend of mine this past weekend. I haven't seen her in a while. She's been out of town for, gosh, a couple of months. And we were talking about, her relationship. And one of the things she was saying, she's like, well, I don't know if I want this or if I want this. And some days I want this and some days I want that. And that's normal. It's normal to waver. It's normal to feel kind of not sure about what you want to do in many areas of your life. However, what the universe will do in response is give you all the things to not know about. So if you're saying, I don't know over and over and over again, you're putting yourself in a stuck position to receive mixed information about what you want. It's kind of like you're the frequency and you're tuning into the external radio station of that frequency. If your frequency is chaos and your frequency of who you are is mixed in I don't know, in scattered intentions, you're going to receive more of scattered intentions, more of unsureness, more of things to not know about. So my best way, my favorite way out of that is to say, I choose to become clear about this. I'm becoming more clear about the role this person has in my life every single day. I'm becoming more clear about my career path every single day. I'm becoming clear about the steps it takes to get there every day. I feel very guided by the universe. This is a whole different element than I don't know. Because I believe, again, your brain is a Google search bar. If we type that in, I don't know, Google's going to be like, well, okay, so here's some, I don't know, stuff. This is what you get. So when you say I choose to know, you at least open up a pathway to ask your brain to start looking for options that it could be. And there's a very big difference between being intuitively guided and being guided by what we feel like we should do or what we feel like other people want us to do. Those are big areas of self-sabotage too, is when we abandon our internal voice that's guiding us because it sounds silly or crazy or unconventional. And we listen to those old voices saying, well, I don't know if you should do that, or you shouldn't, open this business because you have a safe, stable, secure job and you should just be happy for that. So your job is to start to create mental intentions to help yourself out, Decide what it is you want to focus on and create some intentions around that. Choose to know. Choose to feel better. Choose to be more productive. Be aware, and you might even set a little timer or a little you can set alarms on your phone with messages and it can pop up a couple times a day and just say, where's your head at? What are you doing with your life? Where's your focus? If you wasted half the day on Instagram, like, what are you doing? So give yourself grace for that. The other thing that I want to talk about, like as we're in full ass February, as we're adjusting and assessing our focus, is self-sabotage, because focus is some variation of self-sabotage, but it also is important just to explore and acknowledge that self-sabotage exists. And when I'm saying self-sabotage, it's like when you want to do something, when you desire to do something, and then your behaviors are not in alignment with that thing that you're deciding to do. So a lot of self-sabotage comes like if you're, deciding to eat cleaner or healthier, and then you feel like you impulsively just need to go get sugar at the store, or you need to go get Starbucks, or you need to go get whatever. Like, you are creating an action that might be conscious. You might have the awareness that you really desire to do this, but then you go and do something else. So you might be totally aware, or it might be unconscious. I see a lot of unconscious self-sabotaging in relationships, as people want to be close to another person, but what it comes down to is a core belief that either they're unlovable, or a core belief that love is hard, or a core belief that things don't always work out and they're going to get hurt if they get close. So what happens is the desire is there, but the core belief is a mismatch from the desire. So the core belief is, the desire, I want to get closer to this person. And the core belief is, I don't feel worthy of that. I don't feel lovable. I don't feel like they'll stick around if I let them see who I really am. So when we have this mismatch, sometimes we unconsciously pick fights with people. We unconsciously push them away. We unconsciously say things that are not true or mean-spirited, or whatever the case might be, to create distance, to prove ourselves right. The thing I need you to understand, if you learn nothing else from me, the thing I need you to understand is that the brain just wants to be right. That's it. That's its only job, and its only thing to be right about is whatever you're telling it. That's it. If you have a core-based belief, it's going to try to be right. So this might come out of fear of failure, or rejection, or avoidance, and it's always kind of an emotional. Self-sabotage comes from emotional vulnerability, and not wanting to fail, and not want to get hurt in any way, shape, or form. And so we create behaviors that are in alignment to defend us or protect us. And I think it's cute that our brain goes to such lengths to protect us, but it also keeps us from accessing joy, and accessing love, and accessing the things that we really, really want. And you might notice self-sabotage if you're a big procrastinator. You really want a new job, but then you always wait till the deadline to send stuff in, and it's kind of messy, and it's kind of sloppy, and it's not exactly what you want. You might notice it if you're a stress eater. People who fill that void or that fear with stuff like physical food. People who have issues with substance abuse are often self-sabotagers. Of they want to do better, and then they, do the escapism thing of just trying to shift into a better mental space, or what they think is a better mental space. People with commitment issues, that's a big form of self-sabotage. And then just people who are chronically late. So it's important to understand that the biggest thing you can understand about self-sabotage and how it's personally impacting you is just starting to create awareness of, what is it that I desire? I think the biggest thing that you can do for yourself is identify what you want, and identify any beliefs you have within you that is not in alignment with what you want. Because we can change core beliefs. Because we know that core beliefs like you're unlovable, or you're not worthy of love, or you have no business being successful. You're not one of those people who can be successful. Like all of those core beliefs that we have that block us and create sabotaging behaviors are ultimately not true because our truth is created by us. So if it doesn't feel good, we can undo it. And if it doesn't feel good, it probably came from a long time ago. It probably came from some shit that happened in kindergarten that, you're still thinking about. Core beliefs get set a long, long time ago. And I wrote in Rock Your Soul, I wrote something along the lines of like, this is kind of like walking into a 70s house with green shag carpet and floral wallpaper that's like that, ugly baby puke green and saying, okay, no, this is fine. This is totally fine. This is what we walk into our mental space of our core beliefs and look around and say, do these still work? Are these outdated? Does it still serve me? Do I want to do something different? Because when we start to create awareness, that's when we can change things. We can't change things without awareness. If we don't have any recognition of what we want and what we're doing that blocks us or stops us or redirects our focus, like we can't do anything about it. So our job is to come back in, identify those core feelings, those core beliefs, and decide to reset them. And again, our brain works on automatic patterns. So we're going to offer compassion and forgiveness for the awareness. Like if we start the process of refocusing and going in on full ass February and if we start trying to change things, we're reprogramming a software. If we think about our brain, like this is old, outdated software. This is like Windows 95. I don't know if that's a thing, but you know what I mean? Like this is old, outdated software, and we have to update it to match our new lives, our new desires, and who we want to become. So we have to go through and we have to really identify, okay, what's not working, and understand that the patterns that we've created are thick. The patterns that we've been thinking, the thoughts we've been thinking, we might have been thinking them for 25 years. But again, just because it's happened and that's the case for a long time doesn't make that your future. And you get to decide right now, what do you want to be your future? Who do you want to be? What core beliefs do you need to have to be that person? And then we manifest it. And when I say manifestation, a lot of people get confused because they think it's just this magical universal thing, which in a lot of ways it is. However, the base of manifestation is repetition of thought. The base of it. It's a thought you're willing to believe. It's the repetition of a thought. And again, when we repeat a thought over and over and over again, we form a belief. And when we repeat a thought, we build mental energy towards that thought, collecting more thoughts like it. And when we're collecting more thoughts like it, we're creating an emotion that feels better. So we're now tuning into a frequency that is a different radio station than the one that was crappy that we were on, that had all the static. And now we get a really clear song. Now we get all the things we want that are in alignment with that frequency. But repeating something over and over and over again creates a neural pathway. And our neural pathways are designed to tell our brain what to look for. So if I go from this core of I'm unlovable, if I go from this core belief, I'm unlovable, and I start to say, maybe I am lovable. Maybe I could be. What are some lovable things about me? Well, I do this podcast and that's pretty cool. And I'm a good listener. I'm a good friend. And you just kind of go into that space of exploring, okay, how is this not true? And you keep coming back to that. How is it not true? And one of the things with focus and one of the things with self-sabotage is that the more you revisit your desires, and this is why I manifest daily. This is why I manifest daily, because it keeps me on track with who I want to be, not what the old programming is. Because it's easy to slip into the old programming. It's easy to become who I've always been. That's fucking easy. That's comfortable. I can self-sabotage all day. I'm a big procrastinator. That's something I'm personally working on. However, I'm choosing not to. I'm choosing to step up my game. I'm choosing to become somebody who's consistent and committed. I'm choosing to become whatever it is I'm choosing to become. And I want you to choose to become a better version of yourself too. But you have to do the work. And you have to be intentional about the work, and you have to be intentional about revisiting your desires, because that's going to make the risk of the things that you're losing or the hard things, it's going to make it worth it. If you're saying, okay, well, I'm exchanging this old ass belief that I'm not lovable, I'm exchanging that for love. And I'm exchanging this old ass belief that I'm a non-committed person and I can't be successful for no, I can be committed and I am successful. I'm exchanging because I'll tell you what, when you give yourself space to be successful, when you stop falling into the trap of who you used to be because you've redecided and recommitted to yourself and you revisited every morning who you want to be, it's easier. It gets your brain looking for the right things internally, externally, in the past, in the present, and in the future. That is the magic of change. The magic of overcoming self-sabotage is rewriting that core belief. You can rewrite a core belief through rethinking those thoughts every day. No, I choose to be better. I choose to be a better version of myself. I choose to be a happier version of myself. I choose to be a more successful version of myself. I choose and I declare that I'm worthy of that. I choose and I declare that I'm worthy of being loved and having people show up for me. I choose and I declare that I get to have whatever the hell I want. And I'm done self-sabotaging. I love that. I've been saying that a lot over the past week and a half is I'm done with that. I don't do that anymore. And just those statements, again, you're telling your brain what to look for. You're telling your energy how to perpetuate and build itself. So you get to decide right now, what are you going to do differently? What are the ways you sabotage yourself? Create some awareness, recognize it. And again, we're going to hold compassion because we know the brain is an automatic machine. We're going to hold compassion for the times we fuck up. We're going to hold compassion and understanding that just because I drop my phone on the ground doesn't mean I have to step on it 20 times. We pick it up, we dust it off, and we start over when we recognize that we dropped it. And that's it. And if we all function like that, could you imagine if we didn't just beat ourselves up and say, oh, that's just how I am. That's just the way I am. And there's nothing I can do about it. Like, yes, you can. You choose your life. You choose who you're going to be in this life. You choose who you're going to be to other people. You choose if you show up for them or not. You choose, you decide. Don't self-sabotage yourself by pretending it's out of your control. That's bullshit. I won't let you. This is for last February and you were going all in because you're fucking worth it. You're worth a better life. You're worth showing up for every day. You're worth changing the old crappy behaviors that haven't gotten you anywhere. It's time, don't you think? That it's time to do something different, to try something different, to be a better person. So your job this week is to rewrite your story, to check in on those core beliefs. What belief is blocking you? What inherent thing do you believe about yourself? Take responsibility for your thoughts, take responsibility for your intention, and come back to that desire every chance you get. And if you need help along the way, make sure to join our Facebook group, Rock Your Soul on Facebook. I'll put the link in the bio to this. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok, NicholeEaton.xo for daily videos. And you can book a one-on-one session with me via my website, NicholeEaton.com. Thank you as always for listening. I hope you have the most fabulous full ass February. Thank you so much for listening to the Rock Your Soul book and podcast. Take a moment to book a one-on-one session with me or purchase my trainings at NicholeEaton.com. Join the Rock Your Soul Facebook group or follow me on Instagram at NicholeEaton.xo. And if you loved this podcast, don't forget to share it. Thank you.